Hello and welcome to Capital News International, and we're trying to put things in context here this evening. We want to discuss on this special edition the Charrandass Persaud fallout with regard to the diplomatic faux pas that occurred in India since last year. Let's begin by listening to what the President had to say about it.
I want to assure all Guyanese that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Government of Guyana will continue to work every day to strengthen our relationships, not only with India, but with every other partner across the globe. Mr. Charrandass has agreed that he take full responsibility for his action and will return home from this posting, as I would have said. We are therefore going to take all official steps and measures to ensure a smooth transition and to continue to strengthen our work with India and to work on advancing the cause of Guyana in every capital. Thank you.
Joining me this evening to discuss this matter, two members of the opposition party in Guyana, the Honorable Amanza Walton Desir, and she is the shadow minister responsible for foreign affairs in Guyana. And we also have joining me Mr. Ganesh Mahipal, the Honorable Ganesh Mahipal. And I want first your reaction, Amanza, let me bring you in first, to what the President had to say and whether he really took decisive action, as some are saying.
Thank you, Enrico, for having me on your program. Look, no, he didn't. That is the sum total of it. What has happened is that the government of Guyana was caught basically with its pants down. This is an incident that occurred since August of 2021. And it therefore means that for 1 year, the government of Guyana sat on the knowledge of Charrandass Persaud's misconduct, and they did absolutely nothing about it. And so now that the video was made public, and even after the video was made public, they doubled down on their position and said that they considered the matter closed. It was the pressure from the people of Guyana and from abroad that resulted in Irfan Ali doing what he did. So he doesn't get points for doing the right thing. It has to concern us that it is the fact that this video became public that spurred this government into action. Otherwise, they would have continued to sweep this matter under the rug. And it is extremely disturbing to me that the President, in his announcement, did not even address the fact that his government had issued a statement prior to his statement indicating that the matter was closed. He did not offer an apology to the victim, nor was he condemnatory of Mr. Charrandass's conduct. So his announcement falls woefully short of the type of decisive action that is required from a head of state.
But you know, anytime heads roll, people say, well, that is what matters. Doesn't matter whether or not one condemns or not condemns. Once you knock somebody off, that's it.
No, it is important to address the conduct that led to that person being, or heads rolling, as you put it. It must come from the President that he condemns this type of abuse and assault on women. And it is particularly important, Enrico, because this is a pattern that has come to characterize senior functionaries of his administration. So that is why it becomes all the more important for the President to say that he will not condone the abuse of any woman, home or abroad. And he must say so very clearly. His apology, his announcement came across as weak. It came across as he was afraid to strongly call out Charrandass Persaud for his vile conduct. He said that Charrandass Persaud agreed. Agreed. He is the president. He ought to have issued an instruction that you must return forthwith. What is this agreement about? If Charrandass had not agreed, what would have happened? So I say all of that to say that he doesn't get brownie points from me for this. It's I'm happy that Charrandass has been recalled. It is very deserving, but they should have acted on this information since last year when they became aware of this issue and of his misconduct.
If I could bring in right now Ganesh Mahipal, the way the world works now is that you have a number of things happening, a number of wheels rolling at the same time. And one could not fail to notice, Ganesh, that just a couple of weeks ago, you were part of a delegation from the APNU AFC side of the House that visited, paid a courtesy call on the Indian High Commissioner, or met with the Indian High Commissioner. And soon after that, the parts started to move. Tell us that you had nothing to do with it.
Enrico, thank you very much for having me on the program. And this matter is very much close to me. I'm really, really hurt about what happened. And it is primarily because I am a Hindu and I'm also an East Indian Guyanese. So this matter is very, very sensitive to me. And if I may just piggyback on what Amanza said and express my disgust for the utterances of the president and say to you that I don't believe that he acted based on that video per se, but more so because of the public pressure with reference to the video. I mean, the state knew about this incident 1 year ago, 1 year and months ago, and they had not acted on it. So if this video was not made public, the question is, would we have had such an action? And I am, like Amanza, taken aback by the fact that there was no apology for the young lady that was accosted and abused by Charrandass Persaud. And more so, there wasn't even an apology offered to the people of India for this reprehensible behavior from someone who is supposed to be an ambassador of this beautiful country we call Guyana. I want to say to you, Enrico, that when I saw the video, I immediately communicated with the Indian High Commissioner and I offered my profound apology on behalf of the people of Guyana and indicate to him that we are not what he saw in that video. And I asked of him to also convey to his government that we are not what he saw in that video. It is very unfortunate that that is the kind of character we chose to put to represent us at the level of High Commissioner to India, and this is what it has brought to us. I think it is most unfortunate that our country is going through this period of such an embarrassment. We should not be on programs talking about the ills of our country and society, but rather promote the glorious development and the boom that is expected. But for too long, we have been focusing on all the errors because of its magnitude, and we cannot put a blind eye to it. The People's Progressive Party has to take full responsibility for what has happened here. It is most unfortunate that as Guyanese, we have to be speaking about this when they could have acted from the outset when it occurred over 1 year and months ago. And that is very, very unfortunate. And not only do we have situations that are of this nature, but when we have a president that comes before the nation and try to sugarcoat the issue in such a way, trying to make us as though we are gullible people, by just putting a spin on it to say that Charrandass Persaud accepts that he will resign. I mean, this didn't call for an acceptance from Charrandass Persaud. This called for a decisive action from the president. But it's deeper than just Charrandass Persaud. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation issued a statement that contradicts what the president said. They deemed the matter closed based on what they concluded as it being brought to closure. But you cannot have a video of that nature and then tell this nation that it is closed or there is nothing substantial as to what was committed. It is most unfortunate. And I think the president should go beyond recalling Charrandass Persaud and immediately dismiss UTOD for his incompetence and dismiss UTOD for keeping this matter 1 year plus in isolation of the people of Guyana. Charrandass Persaud is not just there representing the few people in the People's Progressive Party. He's representing a nation, an entire nation with over 750,000 people. And his actions must not be hidden from the people of Guyana. It must be brought out, and we should have known about this. I also saw that Charrandass Persaud paid a courtesy call in October of last year to UTOD.
Of this year.
Incident happened of this year, and this incident happened in August of last year. So, I mean, what is it that they're trying to do to us? Are they trying to fool the Guyanese people? Do they believe we're not academically accomplished enough to understand the magnitude and gravity of this problem? I want to say, Enrico, that the people of India must know that that is not a true representation of Guyanese. We are not that hostile to women, and we will never be in that class to degrade our women. I am a Hindu, Enrico, and I am very, very upset and angry as to the behavior displayed by Charrandass Persaud to India. India is near and dear to me and my fellow Hindus. I am also an East Indian. India is near and dear to me as an East Indian, and I'm very, very much disturbed as to what Charrandass did. And I'm also a Guyanese, and I know that what he did does not represent me nor the Guyanese population.
So, Amanza now, Ganesh just raised, the Honorable Ganesh Mahi Paul as a member of parliament, he just raised the fact that the foreign minister received a courtesy call from Mr. Charrandass Persaud. I wanted to point out that it is the supervisor, the boss, who is receiving this courtesy call from his subordinate. Do you see that as part of the rolling parts that led to what happened today?
Well, it certainly was an attempt to display some level of normalcy in terms of Charrandass's tenure in India. Looking back, one can safely draw that conclusion. It was an attempt to say to the people of Guyana, you know, everything is all right over here, and so nothing to see here. That was what that was about. In retrospect, you realize that it underscores the fact and the point that we have been making this evening, that the government clearly knew what had happened, particularly given what the Ministry of Foreign Affairs said in their missive. So they had knowledge of what had transpired. The other concerning issue is that when the president spoke today, he made no mention of this statement from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. So are we to assume that he didn't know? Well, if we are to assume that he didn't know, then the implications of that are so far-reaching that I don't even want to begin to touch on them, because it means that he is over here, his Ministry of Foreign Affairs is over there, and they are existing in silos. It means that in excess of 52 cabinet meetings later, this didn't come across his desk. He was not in any way, shape, or form briefed about this. So these are all the questions that the people of Guyana now have, given Irfan Ali's statement earlier today. This is a serious matter, and it has to be treated with a level of seriousness. Now, while, Ganesh is absolutely right, Charrandass's conduct is not a reflection of the people of Guyana. It could be argued that it might be a reflection of the PPPC government, but certainly not a reflection of the people of Guyana and our mores and our values. This matter, Enrico, has really demonstrated that the PPPC has no idea when it comes to international relations, when it comes to foreign policy, when it comes to diplomatic etiquette. They have no idea. I have been saying since I became Shadow Minister of Foreign Affairs that there is no North Star of values or a national interest guiding this PPPC administration. And that is very, very worrying. And this is just the latest in a series of blunders that continues to display and to prove exactly what we have been saying all along.
Let us have a look. We're going to try to see if we could play the video without all the cuss words in there. Let us have a look at some of what was said, and then when we come back, we will discuss the whole attitude and the diplomatic bearing that should be what should be expected and what should be done. Let's listen and watch.
Are you any better?
No.
You're throwing out a helpless dog?
What helpless dog? I don't need a dog in my yard, all right? You want a dog, take it, put it between your legs.
You little bastard.
No, you probably want the dog to fuck you. That's what you want. I don't care. I don't care who you are.
I don't care who the hell you are.
Fuck you.
Yeah, dekha.
Now listen to me.
You're drunk. You're
Don't
bloody-
let any woman come in my yard.
You're bloody drunk.
Hello. You like the camera?
You don't understand English. Speak in English. Chalo.
Ganesh, if I could go to you, because you mentioned earlier on the program, and some people may not quite understand, because not all of Guyana is Hindu. You have Christians, you have Muslims, you have persons from the Baha'i faith, from the Rastafarian faith, and other faiths operating. You mentioned that you're Hindu. Why would such a video disturb someone of the Hindu faith?
Enrico, India is the home of Hinduism. India possesses some very godly places that Hindus dream to attend. I know of the Yamuna River, I know of the Ganges River, I know of the sacred mountains of the Himalayas where Lord Shiva resides, and our religious teachings that is taken from the Sri Ramcharitmanas, the Ramayana, and the Bhagavad Gita teaches us of the importance of values and morals and the like. And it is from India where that originated. So the same way how my African brothers and sisters will embrace Africa, I am embracing India. And the same way how the other ethnic groupings of Guyana will embrace the continent or country from where their ancestors come, the same way I embrace India. And the same way how Muslims will see Mecca, that is how I see India and many other Hindus, if not all Hindus. And that is why this video is so disturbing to me. I am trying to divide myself, and I have divided myself for the longest while from the politics of this. I am not viewing this matter as an APNU AFC versus PPP. This is an administration, a government that is in place, chose to put Charrandass Persaud as the representative of myself and my people in India. He has misbehaved clearly. They knew about it for over a year plus, did absolutely nothing about it. From the press release issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, it is quite clear that they knew about it and they closed the matter. When the video surfaced, that is when Irfan Ali wants us to believe that he knew about the matter. He is trying to hoodwink the people of Guyana. And I cannot, as a Hindu, as an East Indian, and as a Guyanese, accept that. But more so, his message to the Guyanese people was not one that I could have valued as sincere. When I look at his body language, when I look at his posture, when I hear his tone of delivery, I was of the opinion that he is more angry that the video came to public as opposed to the behavior of Charrandass Persaud. And I have asked myself, Enrico, beyond this, how many other persons in respective countries misbehaved and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is hiding it? This is just one that came to light. And the fact that Irfan Ali acted on it after it came to light begs the question of how many more are out there that has been hidden. If we as a country cannot embed in ourselves principles, morals, and procedures and follow a clear path to differentiate politics from the country as a whole and representation, then where are we heading? It worries me that this government only acted on that basis because there was a video circulating. I don't know what else they're hiding from us, and I cannot trust them. Because of this behavior of the PPPC government, I personally, as a Guyanese, cannot trust them. They should have acted on this matter long before the opposition attempted to release this video. And it
But
is
Ganesh,
very
you did
sad.
say,
It is, I didn't hear you, Enrico.
I said you did say earlier on that the Indian High Commissioner, you reached out to him. But I had also asked you that you had met with him. And you gave us the impression that the Indian High Commissioner saw the video, or you knew he saw the video. Did you show it to him, or did he show it to you?
I would like to say to you that when I received the video, I immediately sent it to him. I immediately sent it to him, and I apologized to him and expressed my dissatisfaction on the behavior of Mr. Charrandass Persaud, and I assured him that this is not the Guyanese people's behavior, and I want to assure him and his government that this is not what we stand for as Guyanese. Charrandass Persaud's behavior did not represent the Guyanese people. That is the assurance I gave to him.
But and I want Amanza to come in here, but what some may say, look, the world is changing. We are holding on to these diplomatic niceties and so on. The man must need some downtime. This elderly woman may have caused him to have an outburst. You know, is there such a thing that we should excuse this kind of behavior at all?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. He assaulted a woman. That is what you saw. That was plain sexual harassment and a verbal assault targeted to this woman. Those weren't words that he could use towards a man because they wouldn't make sense. It is a manifestation, I keep saying, of this contempt and disregard and disrespect that characterizes senior functionaries in the PPPC administration, and that is just the plain truth. There is no sugarcoating it. With great power comes great responsibility. You have the honor and privilege of representing Guyana as its High Commissioner. With that title comes the responsibility of having to understand it. You have to be temperate, you have to be sober, because you are representing a nation overseas. You cannot have the powers of the office without the responsibility. So no, I don't buy it. I do not buy it. It is inexcusable what he did, and it is the manifestation, I keep saying, of just the attitude of this PPPC administration. And I agree, Ganesh, this is bigger than politics. This is about a pattern. And I want Mr. President to understand that charity begins at home. And so if that conduct, that egregious conduct, was not acceptable there, it must not be acceptable here. And therefore, there is video evidence of one of his operatives, Ossie Rogers or something like that, slapping up a woman in a supermarket. But the next week, he is on TV in the US hosting a Diwali program on behalf of the state-run media. Nigel Dharamlal has hurled the vilest of insults against female members of parliament in the National Assembly, on the floor of the National Assembly, and gets away with a half-hearted attempt at an apology. This is about an attitude, and it is about saying that we are not having any more of it. Enough is enough.
Ganesh?
Enrico, if I may, before you come in there, add to what Amans is saying. When you look at the lady in the video, you will see that that lady was not someone that was confrontational in her voice or her posture. She was merely inquiring about a dog. And you could have heard the tone of her voice and sense that she wasn't a threat to Charrandass Persaud, who's a man, and that is a woman. And to add also to what Amanza said, you also have Berry Ramsaran, who is a PPP member of parliament. And there was also a video circulating where he threatened to strip and slap a reporter. I think it was Charlene Najir or something of that, some name of that sort. You also have, which we must not forget as a nation, no less a person than Bharat Jagdeo, who Varshini Singh accused of being ill-treated at State House. That was a famous story. There are so many people within the People's Progressive Party that is associated with assault, that is associated with abuse, that is associated with this kind of behavior, that we cannot believe the sincerity of the president's message. And that is why I asked the question, how many more are there that is hidden from the people of Guyana? We must ask ourselves that.
But Ganesh and Amanza, the people we elect come from the society from which we elect them. And the society from which we elect them pelt dogs, mistreat mentally ill people, make fun of people, fat shame people, do all sorts of things to people. And we seem not to think that we need to reform both the education system and the system from the point of view of teaching people values and morals and decorum deportment. Isn't that one of the challenges?
Enrico, it is a challenge when you look at the country from a holistic point of view. But that change has to start with us at the top. That change has to start with us demonstrating a kind of behavior where persons are expected to look up to us, and they're expected to mimic or pattern what they see their leaders do. But if we continue to have a society consisting of persons holding high offices, behaving in this manner, then what else do we expect from our ordinary citizens? And it doesn't only speak to the reformation of our education sector, it speaks to who we put where. The government had a choice. They had a choice of sending a representative to India. Charrandass Persaud was not their only choice. There are distinguished men and women in our society that they could have sent to make an inroad into that country and create an avenue for us to have better bipartisan, bilateral relationship. They have a choice of who they send where. And what scares me is that the president did say that Charrandass Persaud is coming home, or he is being recalled from the position he's in. He agreed to resign. Are you going to put him in another position? Are you going to give him a position at the local level where he can continue to display this kind of behavior? Are you going to give him another posting in another country? Well, I am against that because I believe that Charrandass Persaud needs serious help after seeing what he has done there. Respect is not something that you get just like that. You ought to earn it. So I say to your question, Enrico, that the change must start with us at the top. The change must start with the type of people who we elect. And perhaps what we should do is elect persons who we know are equipped academically, morally, socially, and all the other likes to lead us in a direction of honesty, of tranquility, of love, of understanding that society is bigger than these problems, and let us assist in fixing it as opposed to contributing to making it worse.
Amanza?
I think it really does demonstrate again the lack of an appreciation of where Guyana ought to be as it relates to her foreign policy. India has been a long-standing, important partner to Guyana in the international arena. We know historically the ties that Forbes Burnham, former president, had with Indira Gandhi of India. And so they've been a long-standing partner of Guyana within the community of nations. For the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so the government of Guyana, to post someone like Charrandass Persaud without one iota of experience in the diplomatic field, without one iota of the understanding of international relations and the understanding of diplomatic etiquette, to post such a person as High Commissioner of India borders on contemptuous. You have far more seasoned, far more experienced persons that could have been placed as High Commissioner to one of Guyana's most important partners. But they chose not to. And widely, Guyanese see it as him being recompensed his 30 pieces of silver for the stance that he took in the no confidence motion.
One of the challenges, though, is that Guyana seems not to build on its past and move forward into the future. We seem to be spinning a lot sometimes. It is disturbing that we've had Sir Edward Victor Lakou as ambassador, as High Commissioner to India. We've had Raman Gajraj. We've had Balram Raghabir. We've had Steve Narain there. And those Ganesh are all people of Indian origin, and yet you never got that kind of complaint. What went wrong here? Is it, as Amanda is saying, that this particular person was not trained for this kind of a job? And why didn't we ensure that that was done?
Well, Enrico, I believe that Amanza touched on a very important point, considering what Charrandass did in the no confidence motion. And perhaps he believed as though what he did was something that required him to believe that he's on top of the world. and that because of what he did then makes him superior within the People's Progressive Party, and that is why perhaps he had displayed such behavior. But also, I want you to take into account that the technology that is available at our disposal now, the ability to quickly video an incident, when compared to the past, now it is more prevalent. People are more exposed to these forms of technology, and it's easy to expose people with their wrongdoing when others are trying to cover it up. What we clearly see here is the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation attempting to cover up this vile behavior. And then we see that the fact that they knew about it 1 year plus and said nothing about it, not up until this video came out, is evidence that technology has played its part. But also, I want to reiterate, perhaps Charrandass Persaud believes that he is now one of the superior ones and he can do as he please to the people of this country. Very sad reality. But Enrico, I want to also say to you that many persons reached out to me concerning this incident, both people who support the People's Progressive Party and who support the coalition, because I have friends all around, and they have expressed their disgust to this. But they have not just stopped at expressing that disgust with reference to Irfan Ali recalling Charrandass, but they do believe that UTOD is complicit in this act, because UTOD, as Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Relations, knew about this matter and said absolutely nothing. And then 1 year and a couple months after, want to put out a statement to basically say that the matter is closed and there's no substance there. It is very it's a shaming. And I wanna say that UTOD is a foreigner to foreign policy. He's a foreigner to foreign affairs, and he's a foreigner to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, and he should go.
Before I end this program, I want to bring in Amanza, who's the shadow minister in terms of foreign affairs, and I was asking that shouldn't we build on what we've had and move forward. How can we move forward, Amanza, and make sure that our diplomats, our people, even when we are battling for elections and battling for power, that we seek after truth, we seek after justice, and we seek after fair play, and we don't use expediency as excuses?
Well, that is a decision that has to first be made at a personal level before it can manifest itself in any form publicly. So it is for us as Guyanese, as voters, to decide that this is not what we want, that we deserve better. And this whole situation really does demonstrate, Enrico, that the people of Guyana have a voice, and if they use it loudly enough, that they can bring this PPPC administration to account. One of the questions that I took the pains to ask in the last budget was, what percentage of the budgetary allocation was the government going to use for training of foreign service personnel? You'll recall that under the APNUAFC, the Foreign Services Training School was revitalized and re-energized, and they had their own budget, and there was extensive training being done to ensure that we have the best diplomats at our, at our service, and that our diplomatic corps was strong. Enrico, Guyana does not have the benefit of having a large army or a large defense force. It means that our diplomats are our first line of defense in any matter internationally. And we want to have competent people representing us there at all times. I really want to salute the people of Guyana for standing up on this matter and for sounding their voices across the political divide on this issue. And I want to say to us that imagine what Guyana can become if we would do this every time we see injustice, or every time we see the government engaged in excesses, or every time we see our women being abused by senior government functionaries and not being called out, or you have to wait for days for even female politicians within the PPPC administration to condemn it. It must come naturally to us. The shunning of this type of vileness that we saw in Charrandass Persaud does not reflect the best of us. But we as Guyanese have to insist that our government is going to be held to a higher standard, that we are going to hold ourselves to a higher standard, so that Guyana really can become all that she can be. The ball, Enrico, really is in our court, as this whole fiasco demonstrates. And so we have to use our voices, because we can make the change if we stand up against these atrocities and injustices.
Indeed.
Enrico,
Go
Enrico,
ahead.
you know what is also deafening? The silence of the Minister of Human Services and Social Security. Dr. Vindhya Persaud is, like me, a renowned Hindu, and she's of East Indian ethnicity and a Guyanese also. She heads the Guyana Hindu Dharmic Sabha, which practices Hinduism at a different level, perhaps the highest of highest levels. And she said absolutely nothing concerning this assault on this young lady, concerning this abuse on this young lady. And she has not demonstrated in any way or any form, condemnation to this act of Charrandass Persaud. And that is frightening also, because this, as I said earlier, is more than just politics. It is far way more than just politics. And I reiterate, as I know you're going to close, that as a Hindu East Indian Guyanese, I'm deeply ashamed of the behavior of Charrandass Persaud, and I am annoyed by what this government tolerated for a year plus, and we don't know if there are more to come. Perhaps there are more, and we're going to see them in the future. But to answer your earlier question, the simple answer in one sentence: don't put square pegs in wrong hole. And clearly Charrandass was a square peg being forced into a wrong hole.
Thank you very much, Amanzo Walton Desir and Ganesh Mahipal, both members of Parliament in Guyana, members
Thank
of the
you for having us,
opposition.
Enrico.
And as I said, Amanzo is the Shadow Minister of Foreign Affairs, and we have had a interesting discussion on the Charrandass Persaud fallout with regard to the diplomatic faux pas that occurred since August of 2021. I'd like to thank you for staying with us on this program. We'd like to thank our technical team, Raul De Silva, and his production company here in New York for doing a fine job to make sure that you understand the issues. Thank you very much and have a pleasant evening. Goodbye now.